that's when I was like, oh, this is my book. The author was in my brain, made it for me. Oh my gosh. Welcome to my channel. I am Mounted Free 93. So have you ever just read a book and you're so excited about it that you just want to share your excitement with someone else who's also read the book? Well, this channel is for you. Today we will be doing a book review on This Is Kind of an Epic Love Story by Kacen Callender. Let's get into it. So This Is Kind of an Epic Love Story lives up to its title. It is kind of an epic love story. So this was a very cute fiction story. It's a young adult, probably romance type of story, coming of age type of story. So yeah, let's just briefly talk about what it was about. So basically, this book is about the main character, Nate. And Nate is this 16-year-old who is trying to understand and work through his emotions. He has a best friend named Flo, and they used to go out. But then she ended up cheating on him with a girl, and they ended up breaking up. But they still remained friends. So he's still trying to figure out his feelings towards that situation, while also a childhood friend moves back into his town, and he gets reconnected with this friend and realizes that he has feelings for him as well. So he's just a teenager, just like all of us, just trying to figure out these emotions that he has. So Nate just is this guy who is kind of pessimistic about love, and it has a lot to do with his dad dying and leaving his mom with so much pain because of his death. This book is just like a hot mess of him trying to figure out all of his emotions. And yeah. So let's see. This would be a 5 out of 5 stars for me. Okay? The reason why it's 5 out of 5 for me is because it was so fast paced. It was just like, boom, start of the story, we getting into it. And I was like, yeah, all right. Because usually a lot of books do this build up. They want to set up the scene for you. But this book just gets straight to it while telling me the scene with the quickness of the pace. Whatever, if that makes sense. But yeah, it does a good job. So I am just fairly really pleased with this book. The moment you start reading this book, you are in on the action. It just starts from the beginning, and I love it. I'm not really a fan of like taking like chapters and pages and all this time just so you can set up the scene. Like, no, they just get right into the story, and I love that. So this is one of the reasons why it's actually one of my favorite books. I know. I might be saying it prematurely. Maybe I need to reread before I decide it's one of my favorite books. But right now, it's on the list of favorite books. It's the way that Kacen writes, the author writes this. She writes it with, like, just this humor that I love. There's so much sarcasm within this book, and I find myself actually laughing out loud at like the different parts of the book. And I love how human, I mean, I know this sounds weird, but I love how human and relatable the characters were. It's like we all make mistakes as humans, and this book really encompasses how, yeah, we're all human, we all make mistakes, but what are you going to do about your mistakes, and how are you going to get through? So I just thought, especially Nate, the main character, man, let me tell you, there was parts he was being such an asshole. He was being such a butthole, excuse my language, but yeah, he was like the things he was saying, he said stuff to his mom, to his friends, and he would repeat it. But I think what made me still love Nate, even though he had butthole tendencies, is the fact that I understood where it was coming from. It was coming of a place of hurt, because when his dad died, and I think I really love this book and love his character because I related so much to it. My dad died when I was young, and my mom, all I saw was the aftermath of the pain that my mom was left in. And reading the book, I was really like, yeah, I really understand what you're saying. Like, I get why you feel like, oh, well, let me just end this relationship before they end it with me. It's like you're beating them to the punch because you think that the relationship's going to end, because when you have a parent that dies and you see how it affected your mom, you see all the hurt and the pain. And it's just, that's what and you've been told, like, yeah, he was the love of my life and I lost him, and you see all that pain and you're like, well, is finding the love of my life mean that I'm going to have pain? I don't want to have pain like that. So let me just do everything within my power to make sure I don't feel that pain. But as Nate realizes, and as I realize in my life too, is that you can't continue to go through life and just try to beat everyone to a punch of, not receiving pain, because you can't control what happens. Okay, you just have to let things happen. And it's better to, and I learned from my personal experience and more talks with my mom, that it was probably better for her to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. And so I think he understands that lesson towards the end, and it just really warmed my heart. Like, this book really got me. So yeah, it got a little serious there, but that's how much I love this book. I really relate to this book, and I think that is why it's a 5 out of 5 for me. If you're not a fan of fast pace and it just scene after scene working through to the issues and the drama that goes on with like young teens, then this might not be the book for you. But if you really like to see how does someone deal with their grief, or how does someone deal with love and these feelings that they have, and with the upbringing of that they had, and it's a good read, and it's a quick one too. It took me a good 4 to 5 days to finish this, but that's because, one, I'm a very slow reader. You're gonna learn that about me. And then also, you know how when a book is so good, you're like, I don't really want it to end. So I kept putting it aside and not picking it up, like keep reading it for a whole day. I could have finished it sooner, but I just love the book so much and how it started off and everything. I just didn't want to be let down. What I did is I saw the average rating for this book on Goodreads, and it was about 3.5, and I was like, whoa, it's kind of low. So it kind of made me scared that the ending wasn't going to be good, but I actually loved the ending. It actually referenced one of my favorite shows of all time, Friends. So I was like, dang, this is like, it was so beautifully like crafted. Yeah, it's just so good. Other things that I want to talk about in this book. When I read this book, I memorized the page number in my mind. Page 133. And there was something on that page where I was like, Wait, it was more like, Yeah, it was more like that. Because I was like, that hit. So let's talk about it. All right, I really think it's this section here. It's where Nate is talking to his mom, and they're talking about his dad. And the mom is talking about she wants to date again. And she's out there on the scene, and I was just like, oh, snap. So She asks, what do you think? And I shrug. Nate shrugs. Aren't you afraid of, I don't know. She crosses her arms. Finding someone new just to lose them again? She asks. And at that moment, I was like, wow, she really knows her son. Like, yeah. And he nods. She sighs. Sure, that's always a risk, right? She says. But with your dad, it was a risk worth taking. I'm not so sure. Not sure it would ever be worth it. Falling for the love of your life while knowing that you will lose them. Even if it does work out and they're together for the rest of their lives, neither can live forever. All relationships end in heartbreak and tragedy eventually. And, that part, it got me because I realized I think this way about relationships. And it's so sad to admit, because when you hear it on paper, like when you see it on the page, you're like, wow, that's kind of sad and messed up. It's really messed up. But it's kind of true. I don't know if I still believe this today. But you know what? I do still believe this today. It's just I've come to the resolve whereas, you know what? It's better to have love. I could come to the mom's resolve with it. So even though I believe this about relationships, that they all end in heartbreak and tragedy, I still have the mom's resolve. Whereas it's a risk worth taking. It's better to have love than to never loved at all. So yeah, that got me. So I'm always going to remember page 133 because that's when I was like, oh, this is my book. The author was in my brain, made it for me. Oh my gosh. Some things about the book, it has some romantic scenes, and I was hot and heavy about it. I was like, oh, okay, we doing this. But if you're a person who isn't too much into love scenes and stories, then you might not rock with it. But if you love a good little story, like a little love scene, making love now. And it was kind of, I will say it was a little weird because they're so young. Oh, and another thing about this book that I just found so cute and awesome and progressive was that, no one made it a thing about, oh, you're gay or oh, you're bisexual. No one made it a thing. When Nate's best friend, ex-girlfriend, cheats on him by kissing another girl, he doesn't turn it into oh wow, she's gay. Oh man, my ego is hurt. He didn't do that at all. He was just hurt at the fact that she cheated on him. He didn't even make it a thing that she cheated on with another girl. And they didn't even make it a thing of oh, yeah, I like girls now, or oh, I'm bisexual. No, they didn't even mention being gay, mention being bisexual, none of that. And they didn't mention coming out, none of that. And when he clearly has feelings for Flo. Nate clearly has feelings for Flo, but he also has feelings at the same time for his old friend, Ollie. So it was just so interesting, and I love that because as humans, we're always taught about this monogamous world and how there's just one, and you only just have that one. But in reality, you can love more than one person. It's just, that's what makes us so complex. And I love how this book just put it all out on the table. And they didn't even make a big deal about how he was feeling. His friends didn't make him feel bad. Even though, is this my generation? I don't know. They're 16. I'm 29. I'm a millennial. So are they millennials? Are they Generation Alpha? I don't know. But it was just so heartwarming to see that, wow, we don't have to spend a whole chunk of the book talking about coming out or anything. It just made it like, oh, this is normal. And I think that's the brilliance behind her writing, is that she just made it like, oh, it's a normal thing. It's okay. Like, we're going to talk about that. We're going to see the humanity, the human of these characters. And, woo, let me tell you. Okay. Something else I do want to talk about is my least favorite character, Flo. I couldn't stand her. Let me tell you, the moment she got upset that he was feeling someone else and she felt some type of way, I was like, are you serious? Are you serious right now? You're the one who cheated on him. Like, you did it. Like, and so you gonna get mad, and you've been saying, I want him to move on. You were out here looking for him, to find someone for him to lose his virginity to. Like, you was doing all that. And then he finally comes to you and tells you that he has feelings for somebody. And now you have an attitude like you actually liked him like that. Don't do that. Just don't do that. Because that really bothered me when she got pissed. I'm glad they worked it out and they talked to each other afterwards. I love the communication in this book, even though it took some assholery before the communication started. But it just bothered me. Flo, and she was like forcing her girl to be friends with him. And I'm like, how you gonna force somebody that you cheated on me with to be friends with? What? Like, really? And then when she said that she dumped her, I was like, well, karma's something, ain't it? Like, I just really was over Flo. I just felt she was so entitled and so, but yeah. And it's so funny because I keep forgetting that she's like black and Asian. But when I picture Flo, I just picture her white. And I don't know what that says about me. I feel a little prejudiced, but like, that's really what I was thinking. Yeah, Flo is not my favorite character. But Nate is, even though he said some real fucked up shit to Ollie, to his mom, but you know, who hasn't said some fucked up shit? I mean, let's be real. So he just, such a good human. At the core, such a good human. The whole romance with Gideon and Ashley was cute too. Their friendship, all four of them, and five of them once Ollie came around, was just beautiful. I love that thing of friendship and just seeing the love in the friendships as well. So 5 out of 5 stars. Cute book. This is actually making me want to look more of the author's books and more writing of hers, because if she wrote this, like, first of all, it inspires me to write my story, you know, like just write more. So she's encouraging me to write. She's an inspiration. And I just want to see if she writes as well as she did in here in other books. So yeah, please let me know your thoughts on this book. Would you give it a 5 out of 5 stars? If not, how many stars out of 5 would you give it? Who is your favorite character? What did you really think about Nate? And who is your least favorite character? And just tell me some parts that really stuck to you. If there was a page, a quote from the book that just really stuck with you, I want to know. Because I know that feeling of after you finish a book, you're like, I got to talk to somebody about it. So this is your place. Feel free. Tell me everything. All right. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to reading your comments down below. Please remember that you matter. Please remember that you matter and that everyone has a story to be told. And we're all just might be out here reading everyone's stories, but you have something to be told too. And if I didn't learn anything else from this book, I learned that, you know what? I can share my story and connect with people in Kacen Callender really taught me that. So, all right, bye. Awkward people rule.